Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. I'm your host, Mike. And has anything exciting happened to you today? I don't know. It could be anything, really. Maybe you got some new shoes. Or you, solved a really difficult puzzle in a game you're playing. Or maybe, just maybe, a sweet new dev blog just dropped about your favorite ARPG. We got our legendary news. Pew, 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 pew. Glad to see there's lots of people looking at that and excited about it already. Quick shout out to the couple rating parties that came in. Boardman and Lone Star McFluffin, thank you both very much. Glad to have you with us. I assume you'll have plenty of questions for me. We're also just going to hop right in and play, because I like having fun and playing our game. And for everyone who comes to streams and has heard me talking about how these boots that I'm wearing are finally going to get good, this is what I meant. This is what I meant. I'm probably going to have to set this to an easier difficulty or something, because I'm going to need to be doing quite a bit. I just realized that I don't have my volume set properly because I was prepped for the intro. There's our sound effects. Alright, will you be able to make set items legendary? No. If not, then how will you make them feel good as unique and exalted items? Sets are in kind of a weird spot right now. They'll probably need a little bit of buffs to keep up. So we'll see what happens with those. I have been updating the FAQ at the bottom of the forum post. If anyone hasn't seen it, I'll link it in chat real quick. We do have a sweet new forum post. Just link it in chat real quick. There it is. Yeah, so I have been updating that FAQ as people have been asking questions. When are we getting to see scrapped legendaries that are being repurposed for future uniques? Yeah, so we never really got past a design concepting phase for the old legendary system. It never really got very far. We sort of had ideas on what we wanted, and it never quite clicked. And I don't think we ever had any fully finished, complete designs for them. So any ideas that were likely pitched as legendary items are probably already in uniques and probably already exist. Lightning damage is frustrating on that, but I killed Monolith with level 7 gear and a mere 7% LE res. Nice. Nice. Yeah, that is one of the things about that fight is I think there's a decent skill cap on it for can you dodge, can you move, can you do it, and be successful even with pretty crap gear. Thank you to the Dragonflies 1202, who was resubbed with Twitch Prime 2nd month in a row. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. World Vision, you helping me not go blind, mad respect. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a new new sponsor, new month, new sponsor for the stream, World Vision. They do a lot of cool stuff with feeding and educating kids all over the world, which I think is really neat. Check them out, how are class affixes handled for legendaries? Can only be put on class-specific uniques. Puts class restrictions on the legendaries. Yes, it puts a class restriction on the legendary. I've also updated this question on the FAQ as well. The one confusion that I saw already, which I tried to make really clear in there, but didn't quite work. You don't need to have like, say here's a better example. Say I've got these dark strides. I don't need to find exalted iron greaves. I just need to find exalted boots, and that'll work no problem. So it doesn't need to be like the exact base type. It can just be anything that goes in this. And I almost said it wrong. It's not anything that goes in the same slot, because you can't put a two-handed sword exalted onto a unique two-handed axe. It's everything that has the same, like, just alt tab for a second. Everything. This is a trick. If you alt tab, your tooltip stays. If you didn't know that. So this line right here has to match on both items. That's it. As long as this line right here matches, you're good to go. That's it. How are quest uniques handled? They've got a chance based on their level and the zone level you're in. Not your level, the zone level, and the level of the item itself. Will you need a key to enter the dungeon? Yes, you will need a key to enter the dungeon. It is not just open to any mere mortal who wanders past. Must be earned the entrance into the dungeon. Can you give a rough estimate comparison on the rarity of 3 and 4 potential legendaries, i.e. are 3 potential uniques on par with 3 T6 exalted drops? I don't know the numbers exactly off the top of my head, and I'm sure that's something that will change given more feedback from players and as time goes on and as we change other things, so it's not specific. It also depends on the zone level and the level of the item, so finding an alchemist ladle in the first zone, Forest Trail or whatever, has a way lower chance to have any legendary potential than finding an alchemist ladle in an empowered monolith. And those numbers go up accordingly throughout the game. And but finding even on a very low level unique and a high level zone, finding a 4 legendary is super duper rare. And 3 is still quite rare. Like if you're playing a fair bit, you'll probably find some, but I wouldn't be like planning out your build and being like, well, I'll have at least 3 legendary potential in all my uniques in every slot, no problem. Don't plan that way. Plan for 1 or 2, and be happy if you get a 3 or 4. How frequent are dungeons going to be if there's a chance to make a legendary each one? Or is there some sort of limit? Each dungeon's different, and the rewards for each dungeon will be different. Right now we're starting with just 1 dungeon. So this dungeon's reward, part of this dungeon's reward is being able to make a legendary item. Do you think legendaries will limit your ability to add powerful, low-level uniques in the future? No, I don't think it will, actually. I think it will actually enable us to be able to make low-level uniques that are still interesting. Yeah. And because sometimes when we're making, in the past, one of the things we've struggled with is when making a unique item, being able to be like, hey guys, check out this cool low-level unique item, and not have it be, the response immediately just be like, well, why can't it just be a high-level one with better stats? And that's a totally valid response. And I think this frees us up to make more items in all sorts of different levels and ranges. Thank you very much to Llama8, who has resubbed with Twitch Prime for 5 months in a row. Lagan wasn't too bad, but the waves were a massive pain in the ass. I can only imagine. Boardman has used 100 bits to cheer 100 for the train. Choo choo. I got my kid, my wife got my kid a little like Thomas the Train Engine book, and like little buttons on it. I don't know if you guys seen this now. Kids' books have like, some of them have buttons where you can like push and they like make noises. I've hid the book. The train noises are so loud and he loves them. So I bring it in sometimes, read it to him, but oh my goodness, they're so loud. And I digress. So we got lots of questions here, as expected. I'm going to keep trying to play at the same time. I should keep this ball rolling. Would you consider to use Eternity Cache second time to get some builds of finding implicit, or alternatively break an item completely? Right now, this is the only thing we're using the Eternity Cache for. That doesn't mean this will be the only thing we ever use it for, but right now this is it. I don't want to comment on speculations as to what will happen in the future. But it's... yeah, okay. I hate speculating on things like this. But I've heard lots of good ideas around it. Let's leave it at that. The new Acolyte looks great, but she now needs a new Reaper form. Yeah, we've been getting that a fair bit. It won't be this patch if we do it, but I can see why you'd say that. I would agree with you. I do think the old one's really cool, but it was made a while ago, and it's starting to show its age, so... For a guy who plays 12 hours a day, how likely is it to find a low-level uniques like Morning Frost with 3 to 4 legendary potential? How many Morning Frosts, Lizard, do you find? So like, here's the thing: is I don't actually know the exact numbers. All I know is that I guess I could look them up, but I don't know the exact numbers. But when I was like working on the Eternity Cache panel, I had to spawn a ton of uniques and exalteds in order to like get some with legendary potential and everything like that. And it was very, like, I'm spawning hundreds of these things, and I only saw 1 4. And some of the ones I'm spawning are level 80 plus uniques, so, you know, don't read into that too much. And the zone level that I was in was pretty low as well, so, you know, it's tricky to really get a good read on it from that. But so I probably shouldn't have said any numbers at all. Please don't read into those numbers. I'd say as someone who plays as much as you do, there's a good chance you'll find at least a 3 at some point with a low-level unique like that. Because I know you play a lot, but you play way more than most people do. In the video where a legendary is being created, what does the D key next to the health globe do? That is a new ability slot. So I don't know if you guys remember, I've talked frequently about how when we're designing boss fights and we're designing mechanics for just zones in general, the only thing that we can really guarantee that every single player can do is move and attack. We can't guarantee they have a movement ability, we can't guarantee that they can stun things, or they can apply ailments, or anything like that. Movement attack is the only thing we can guarantee they can do. Well, in order to give us a little bit more freedom in our puzzle design, in our boss design, things like that, we have now, in the dungeon, you get a new ability specific to that dungeon. So this is the only dungeon that has this ability, it's the only place you have this ability, everyone gets this ability, so now we can assume that you have access to this ability, because you do. And so we can design mechanics around it as well. And by default, the hotkey for it is D. Alright, we've got 5 gifted subs from Daedalus. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. Take it you're enjoying the news today. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. Next question here. Are you guys looking more closely at the difficulty curve with the introduction of legendaries for current and future content? Yeah, I mean, we always look at the difficulty curve, and yeah, that is... We are well aware that this does give players more power than they've had before. Thank you, Dahariel, who has also gifted, looks like 5 subs to the channel. Congrats to everyone that got one of those. And TNY, who's gifted one to Rhymer Hearts. Rhymer, you weren't subbed to the channel? For anyone who doesn't know, Rhymer is one of our wonderful developers. Works on the game with me a lot. We hang out. No big deal. With how hard finding 3-4 legendary potential items are, do you feel it's possible it will make ultra rare or high level uniques will fall off for lower level items, i.e. Ravenous Void versus Bastion or as Time Glass? I think that the goal is really to make all uniques have, maybe not all, but uniques from every level of the rarity range and level range have a shot at being powerful. I think the maximum potential for a high-level unique is still higher because it still has those base stats. It still can get 4. It's still possible. And most of the time, even when you do have a 4 on a lower level one, it's really, really difficult to then grant or get an exalted item with really high stats. Like you're like getting a T25 item to put onto that thing is in itself unbelievably difficult and almost impossible. You know, so it's like we're still. Like, the rarity of doing that like, best case scenario or whatever, is so high that I don't think it's going to really have much of an impact on the, like, meta decisions or the average use case or anything like that. The goal still is to have, we don't want low-level uniques to be the de facto perfect gear to get. We want to give them a space where they have the potential to be good, and have their unique abilities, their unique affixes be possibly usable and possibly relevant. Yeah, I think it's more likely you'll end up finding like 1 and 2 legendary potential, and I also don't want to. Sorry, just a quick aside. I don't want to make it seem like there's this big gap between 2 and 3. Like, the difference between 1 and 2 is pretty similar to the difference between 2 and 3, which is pretty similar to the difference between 3 and 4. So it's a curve. It's not a like there's 1 and 2s and there's 3 and 4s. No, it's a scale. It's a curve. So I think likely you'll be finding lower potential. Many more lower potential versions of your high level uniques and trying to pull the one exalted affix off of it that you want. So it'll be like you'll be rolling it a few times to get the one you want. I think it's something that'll happen a fair bit. And like, all these things are numbers that are super duper in flux. I know with CTs a lot of it's changed already, and I'm sure a lot more will change. And obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but we do take your guys' feedback into account very heavily when looking at these things. If it suddenly is becoming like there's just like the high level uniques are suddenly just pointless, well that's something we'll look at. We don't want that to happen. Are the dungeon keys found in Monolith? They can be. And they're different from other keys. Yes, they are different from other keys. When is the earliest we can access the dungeon? This dungeon's lowest level, I believe, is 55. I could be wrong about that. I think that's where this dungeon starts. Will it be available in campaign, or we need to hit empowered models? You can do it in campaign. You will need a key for it, and that key will not drop before the dungeon starts. Like, so you won't be like leveling and find a key and then be able to go into the dungeon. You'll find the key on subsequent character, or on like your first character that goes through, and then be able to put that key in your stash and grab that key onto a low level character. And as it levels, you can get to the dungeon then and use that key on there. So it's you can use it for leveling, but it will not be on the first character through. So alternate characters. This is why I was saying, the phrase I used was, dungeons will be able to augment the leveling process for alternate characters. Do uniques created by Rune of Ascendance have a chance for legendary potential? Oh, good question. I think so. Crap. I knew there was going to be one that I didn't know the answer to. See if Trisoki's awake. He will know. All right. Is there a concern that with weapons having big disparity between? Yes. Sorry, I got the answer. That was quick. Yes. you can get legendary potential on items when you use Rune of Ascendance on them. Follow-up question for people I know is going to ask it, but I'll get back to you if he answers. Is there a concern that weapons having a big disparity between affix and suffix, between prefix and suffix, I think is what you mean, that trying to make legendary weapons will feel really bad? I think it might be... you might be trying a few times to do it. I hope it doesn't feel really bad. The time to go through a dungeon isn't that long. So it's not like you are needing to clear a whole monolith. Oh, the music is really loud. It's not like you need to clear a whole monolith in order to make it happen. So it's dungeons are a lot shorter, so I don't think it's going to feel that bad. Yeah. This is also like end game chase items, so like this is not something that we're designing to be as a like expected gear in every slot for everyone to have, and it's not necessary to have like peak performance gear in every single slot. So yeah, this is a balancing act of figuring out exactly what we want. Oh, I missed McMagic has resubbed Twitch Prime 3 months in a row. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. I think Tahari. Oh, I already said that. People are subbing, people are gifting. That's great. Love to see it. Let's get more questions. I know there's lots of them behind. I'm sorry. If you use a Rune of Ascendance, it will not... The chance of... the legendary potential chance with a Rune of Ascendance is not affected by the level of the zone you're standing in. So going to a level 100 zone to use a Rune of Ascendance is not necessary. You can use it anywhere. That was the follow-up question that I'm assuming people would have. Alright. How are quest uniques handled? Just like normal. Will we have to remake characters to farm them? Yeah, you're going to make a lot of characters if you really want quest ones with legendary potential. So the odds of finding a 4 legendary potential is basically the same as finding 4 T6 exalted affix or an exalted affix as far as rarity roll goes. No, I would not make that a quality. How will making a unique legendary effect level requirement? It will be recalculated. I believe this is one of the FAQ questions. So if you have a question, check the FAQ first. But yeah, it will be recalculated based on the higher of the two, basically. So if you... and higher of the two is not quite the way it works, because if you grab a T1 affix from the Exalted, it won't go up. It'll probably stay the same where it was. But if you grab a T7 affix, it could go up. So it's recalculated based on the new item. So it is technically possible after you make a legendary item to make it so you can't use it anymore. That is possible. I think it's pretty unlikely though. How will making a legendary effect the level requirement? Already answered that, sorry. So the chance of 1 legendary potential is about 1%? No. Please do not try and get exact percentages out of it because I do not know what they are. And anything I say is super tiny anecdotal percentages, which, as hopefully we know by now, the weight of which in a chance-based system like this means almost nothing. Will dungeons be roguelike with no deaths, no teleporting allowed? Yeah. Sorry, I had to think about what you meant by that, but yes. Why not change visuals of an item in inventory when it becomes legendary? Something like influence items from PoE visuals. Just give you a way of telling that immediately they are legendary. They do have a change. It's a little subtle, but yes, there is a change there. The tooltip visuals might not be fully done yet either. I don't know if they are or not. But the color changes. So there's that. How high is the chance to drop a unique without legendary potential? I don't know. Sorry. Speaking of things being pointless now, are there any plans to reset sets? Yes. I won't speak for everyone, but I know they were already quite specific. If some sets weren't worth it at all, now set items don't qualify for this new legendary system. Yes, that's true. For alts and experience in dungeons, the term augment, will this be on par with mono's clearing or have some kind of experience rewards? Part of it is skipping sections of the campaign. That's a big part of that. So you're less looking for gaining levels out of them and more just because it's a second character, you likely have better gear than what you're finding on just anything. You likely more experience because it's not your first time through the game. So it's part of it is you're bounding past, like you go into the dungeon at one point of the story and you come out at a different point and you skip something in the middle. Music is really loud now. Sorry, is it still really loud? Alright. Where is the dungeon located? Crap, I don't know. Rhymer, tell them where the dungeon's located. Tell them what they've won. Will there be a dungeon devlog before patch? No, there will not. This is your dungeon devlog. Oh my god, legendaries are so thick. I love how you're doing them. Next patch now. Thanks. We're working on it, bud. We're working on it. Alright. Also, will there be any kind of randomization element to help keep replay value fresh? Yes, dungeons will have randomization to them. Yeah. You will not be able to memorize an exact path through. Kind of like as I was talking about, there's a lot of stuff I've talked about in the last few dev streams that you're gonna be like, oh, he was talking about the dungeon, wasn't he? I went on a big rant, not rant. I went on a big side note about Zelda dungeons and like using the bow to open up different sections of the dungeon, because that was the ability you got in the dungeon and how it's key for the boss fight. Same thing. So that D key will be key for both the boss and advancing through the dungeon. What would getting our character killed do to our dungeon progress? And can we get back to where we were, or we have to start again? You start again. It's one and done, dead, you're out. But it's really not that long either. So the biggest thing you're losing out of that is the key. Not bad without that minion stuff on it. Will legendaries be tradable when the bazaar is introduced? I don't know. Any comments on set items? Will we see any changes to them? They seem really bad compared to anything in the game now. No specific details. Some of them might get some buffs. We'll see. I'm actually just going to stop answering questions about set items. I feel like I've answered it a few times, but it's probably because I was just too slow. So if you've asked another question about set items and I skip it, I'm sorry. If a legendary item takes a class-specific affix, will the legendary only be usable by that class? Yes. So if you have a class-specific Exalted that has affixes on it, if you have a class-specific Exalted for a different class than the one you're playing right now, and you, but you're trying to get, say it has like a +1 to smite, and you're playing an acolyte, or primalist, let's say, but it has like a T7 endurance on it. You really want that T7 endurance, and you put it in there. There's a chance that T7 endurance, that the smite one gets pulled over, and suddenly you just can't use the item anymore. Only Sentinels will be able to use it. Yeah. It will. I haven't set this up yet, but it was recommended, and I will set this up because we can do it. If you are putting a exalted item into the Eternity Cache with a affix on it that could potentially make the item class locked to a different class than the one you're currently playing, it will pop up a warning to you and tell you, like, there's a chance this could happen. Sure you want to do this? Just be safe. Because there's a few rules about this and things. The there's pretty good. I'm actually quite happy with the. Whoa, buddy, what's going on? Why are you so angry, huh? What's going on? Who hurt you? Was it me? I think it may have been me. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's unfortunate, isn't it? Alright. Will corruption help affect chance of legendary potential or only drop rate of the item? The only thing, here, let me just go to the FAQ for a second here. What exactly affects the amount of legendary potential that a unique item gets? Being in a higher level zone is the only thing that you can do to increase the chances of getting legendary potential on an item that drops. So given a unique item that is dropping, the only thing that affects the amount of legendary potential that item gets is the level of the zone you're in. If a certain zone has a higher chance to drop a specific unique that you're looking for, and is a couple levels lower than an alternate zone that you have access to, it's probably better to farm the one with more of that specific unique drop. This might not always be true, but don't expect to frequently find even 3 legendary uniques in a level 100 zone. High potential is very rare. So what this means is corruption does not affect it. What am I doing here? There you can see a look at my desktop background. Ooh. That's why my the screen my main center screen has nothing on it ever, in case I do something stupid like that. Protecting myself from myself. Will layout randomization be applied to more parts of the game, like the campaign and monoliths down the road? Maybe. It depends how successful this is. Bit of a test. Will dungeons have any modifiers for monsters? Will you be able to add modifiers to make it harder? Yes. As you go through the dungeon, you'll be able to select more and more modifiers to stack up as you go through floors of the dungeon. Is there an error message if you place 2 incompatible items in the legendary crafting station? You actually can't put 2 incompatible items in the legendary crafting station, in the Eternity Cache it's called, and it does pop up an error message. Unfortunately, the way the system works, it doesn't actually know why it was incompatible. It just knows that it was incompatible. And which I know is kind of weird, but that's the way it is. We might be able to find a way to detect exactly what the reason is. So when you try and put an item in, if it's incompatible, it will pop the item back to where you picked it up from, be it on your character or in your inventory, and it will put up an error message specific to the slot you tried to put it into that will give you details on all the criteria that need to be met. So if you put an item into the unique slot, because there's a unique slot and an exalted slot, and they're coded for which ones it is. I may have done that backwards based on, I don't know what you guys, whatever. The unique one's on the left and the exalted one's on the right. And, yeah, so if you drop something in the unique slot that was incompatible, it pops up with a little error message that says, unique items need to have this, 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 and this. And if you put something in the exalted slot and it doesn't work, it pops out and says, exalted items need to have this, 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 and this. So, yeah. Interesting you mentioned Zelda. Ever played the randomizer? I haven't, but I've heard about it. I actually heard about it first on this stream because someone else was playing it, and I was so interested that I went and looked it up. So cool. Went down a rabbit hole of randomizer runs. Got watching Small Ant doing, I think it was Small Ant doing randomizer runs on Odyssey, or Pokemon randomizer runs. That's what it was. Very cool. The Zelda one's just nuts. I know there was a Zelda one too. It was Wind Waker randomizer, which seemed just awesome. Found like a Triforce shard under the house or something when you start under Link's grandma's house. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyways, back to questions because there's a lot of them still. Are there any B synergies coming with the patch? And if so, maybe an example. There's not directly, I don't think. The Swarmblade has locusts that it can summon, and does have advantages for just numbers of minions that are around you, things like that. So some indirect ones, but not really. Will there be new epic boss similar to Shade of Orbis to fight in the new dungeon with the new unique drops? Yes, there is a new unique dungeon boss with new unique mechanics and new unique drops. Are y'all willing to talk about map randomization you have implemented? I'm curious. I was hoping to read about in a dev blog. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about it. What do you want to know? I was wondering, would remaking set items into uniques, but have them be like Eternity Shroud from PoE? I don't really want to speculate as to what we might do with them yet. Sorry. Will be on stream some other people from your team. Yeah, we've had a few people on, and we want to do that more for sure. Because I know you guys get sick and tired of looking at my mug all day and listening to me ramble on. Because there's a ton of really cool people that work here that have interesting and unique insights into things, and getting some of them in here I think would be really great. So yes, definitely want to do that. How long is the dungeon to run it on average speed clear, and does it have separate levels in it? I would say, depends on how good you are at it, how good your build is, all sorts of things. Roughly 10 minutes, I'm going to guess. Maybe, well, I think we just extended it actually. It's still a little bit in flux. We actually made some pretty heavy changes to it based on CT feedback just this week. So it might have gotten a little bit longer, but not much. It's definitely a shorter experience. It's bite-sized content. It's I would say longer than an Echo, more similar to like 2 or 3 Echoes, maybe a little bit more, depending on how lucky you get. Because like, you might find the exit right away, or you might not. You know? Yeah. And you asked about more floors. Yeah, there's more than one floor. Yeah, there's different levels to it. Good evening. Good evening. It's afternoon here, though. Why not make a similar system, but in somewhat different one for legendaries for sets and call them eternal items? Having the rarity of the... We might do it. It's possible. Who knows? Not right now. With the rarity of getting a high legendary potential item, and the rarity of getting that perfect exalted to go in it, or a good exalted to go in it at least. There is the potential to make the... We really want to avoid sets being the absolute only thing to use. If that makes any sense? Like, it's a really hard line to have sets be relevant and functional, but not overpowered. It's real hard. And we've definitely erred on the side of caution with this, of making them less epic. But some of them, especially the more in-game ones, will get we'll be getting a little bit of we'll look at them. I don't want to say exactly what will happen with them yet, because I don't know. It's purely speculation at this point from me. How do dungeon modifiers affect rewards? Each risk comes with a reward, so you'll if you take enemies have, I don't know, 100% more damage. I actually don't know what all the modifiers are right now. You'll get something like there's like whenever something drops, something else drops with it always, or there's a higher chance of these other items dropping, and yeah. There's high value targeted, like really specific rewards, if that makes any sense. Some cases they can be high value, I should say. Is returning to the Eternity Cache in the future going to mean that we have to do the dungeon again to get the legendary item? No, you will have a mechanism to do that right there. It's slightly symbolic. The process of doing that takes a good second or two. Why not automatically pull the exalted stat? Seems like a 25% chance to brick a high level unique and an exalted, and it's already rare enough to get the exact exalted stat you need. These are designed as high-end chase items. They're not What do we have here? That looks pretty good. Losing out on all that flat void damage. And the increase is a lot lower, but the penetration's nice. A little bit slower. Might try and craft on that. Might try and pull the crit multi off and put flat void on there. Yeah, it's and this is one of the big advantages of getting higher legendary potential items, is the chances of you getting the right stats goes up a lot, right? Like a 2 legendary potential item has double the chance to get it, get the right stats, and obviously a 4 gets all of them no matter what. So this is a chase system. This is not a here you go, everyone gets it for free system. Basically the answer. It's also, I think it's more intuitive to not have things be weighted. And so like in the scenario where you say you have a 2 legendary potential item and an exalted item with only 1 exalted affix, there's some really, like, you start getting more complicated. So you get those, like, okay, well, it's guaranteed to pull this 1, and then it's random from the other 3, and it's this like 2-tiered system of pulling affixes that suddenly becomes complex, and complex for almost no reason, really. How does the difficulty of the dungeon, its modifiers, floor you are in, influence reward on Eternity Cache involved in creating legendary items? Great question. It changes the maximum level of unique that you can use. So a max tier dungeon, you can You can put any unique in there you want. The lowest level dungeon, you can only put uniques up to, maybe this is where I was thinking of level 55. Oh, it's level 50 is the base one, yeah. Yeah, the base level dungeon, and these numbers could change. The base level dungeon, you can put a unique up to level 50 into the Eternity Cache. That's what it is. And then there's other ones in the middle, so it's like a spectrum again. Can you crit success into a T5 sealed affix using a Glyph of Despair? Oh, there's a good question. I don't think so. That's a good question. Let's go to the source. Can we still craft a fractured crown with a new crafting system? Yes. How does it function? It's a different question. How does it function? How much randomization is there really? Like, how many runs will a person do before seeing maybe some repeated layouts? Or is it even possible? So the randomization is... it's a lot of little micro randomization decisions. So, like, you know how... maybe you don't know this, but if you have a deck of playing cards... or even just a deck of, let's say, magic cards, and you rearrange these in a unique order, like I'm holding probably 50 cards here, maybe more. There's billions of ways to arrange these in unique orders. So while it is possible to hit the same randomization, and you may get some that are similar enough that you might have the feeling of deja vu, finding one that's the same, or even close enough to the same where you can, like, know which way to go, not gonna happen. With dungeons and possibly adding more, do you have a design vision on the system, such as they drop exclusive rewards or provide alternate ways to level? Yeah, we do, definitely. So we want to have, like, the long-term reality of the system might change given the feedback we get from people. Like, we've already changed. We've already changed how the dungeon works based on the feedback from the CTs already. Like they could change again. So the answer to this question, I can tell you what we want to do right now, but please don't take that as a this is what's going to happen. Ideally, we will have several dungeons spread across different starting levels and different points in the campaign, whereby you will be able to get unique keys for each dungeon, which can allow you to enter that dungeon at either the level that they appear at in the campaign appropriately, or higher tiers for higher rewards, and they will all skip you past some chunk of the campaign. So if you have a key for every single dungeon, you can skip probably the majority of the campaign by doing just dungeons. Now, if you do that, you're not going to get anywhere near as much experience on your character, so you'll probably be pretty under-leveled. So you'll need either a very high-quality build or high-quality gear, or just be real good at the game. Yeah. Part of the goals as well is that each dungeon has its own unique mechanic, its own unique rewards. Yeah. And like I say, this whole grand vision for dungeons can change, and it's still up in the air and based a lot on what you all think of the first dungeon. Which is part of the reason why we're releasing the first one on its own, because we do believe this one can stand on its own and still be fun. And it takes a long time to make them. We wanted to release it this batch, and we didn't have enough time this batch to make 5 dungeons, 10 dungeons. I don't know how many we're going to do eventually, but yeah. And then also have it stand as an endgame system as well, whereby you can find keys for one dungeon in a different dungeon, so you could chain dungeons, high-level dungeons together if you wanted. If you're like, I love dungeons, that's just what I run. Cool, have fun. With dungeons and possibly adding more... Oh, wait, I already answered that question. Will you also be looking at implementing this randomization outside of dungeons into monoliths or other systems? It maybe depends how well this goes. I feel like I answered that question already too. Am I really far behind? Are there any specific enemy modifiers we will see in dungeons which are specific to those dungeons? Maybe eventually. I don't think there's any in this one. I think they're all also somewhere else, but I could be wrong on that one. How confident are you that you're going to be able to nail multiplayer without major issues on release? I think we're going to be able to do it personally. Given what I've seen with who's like running that team and everything, I think like they're way smarter than I am. They have way more experience with creating multiplayer systems than I do, and I feel great about it personally. It's such a beast, such a hard thing to really nail, and there's different, like, getting into semantics of it, I hate doing that, but like there's different definitions of nailing it. Like, to some people, nailing it might be like, I managed to get in and play with one of my friends for 10 minutes. That wouldn't be my definition of nailing it. My definition of nailing it would be different than that, but yeah, I don't want to give a benchmark or like a metric that is like this is our goal or anything like that. But yeah, we're working really hard to nail multiplayer, and it's tough. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and we want to get it right. It sucks trying to play multiplayer when you just can't. Like, if it's there, I think it's worse if it's there and not working than if it's just not there. You know? I don't know if that makes any sense. But if you're like, oh, I can see that it should be possible, but it's not, I think that's worse than waiting for it. In my world, at least, like as a player. What is your favorite unique coming with the patch, and why is it the helmet that you gave that gives your character your beard? I don't know if I have a favorite one. This squirrel helmet's great. I was the character I've been using to just test the Monolith, the Eternity Cache UI, and just happened to have that equipped. And every once in a while, I accidentally like summon all the squirrels and see them pop out, and I just get a chuckle. How rare are dungeon keys? More or less than keys of memory? I don't know. I think more. Or less rare. You'll get more of them, I think. I see a question here that didn't ping me. So dungeon is static? No, dungeon is not static. I know the answer to this most likely, but any updates on having to do the story over and over again? Yeah, I was just talking about that. Hope that answered your question. Is there any rebalance for December 10th patch since legendaries and new crafting's a bit powerful creep? Will axe balance like A9 is? Thank you. Awesome news today. Yeah, we're always balancing things. Every patch has balance adjustments to it. Should implement hidden game sounds that happen when you create a legendary with specific uniques and certain affixes. I even clipped a good sound for you to use, or the classic spicy would work too. So not for this patch, and maybe never, but there's a possibility you might want to remember that comment.
I cannot do that.
Like a long time from now. I definitely don't have anything that I'm planning long term. And we've definitely never joked about it. And half the time the things we joke about never turn into realities either. What deck is it? What format? That was a bunch of random singles from Midnight Hunt. My tokens. Don't die. My treasure tokens. My beautiful treasure tokens. Oh, that was close. Worth it. Okay. The thing I almost picked up that's in sleeves is a commander deck with the bestiary guy, the Volo Guide to Monsters. Yeah, it's the anti-tribal tribal, where every single creature in the deck has a unique creature type. Tons of fun. All right, where are we going here? I've bought my family starter decks and forced them to play the upcoming holiday. Jumpstart packs are phenomenal for that. If you want to get other people into the game, here.
Do that.
Oh my god, I'm muted. Oh, wow. Herp derp. Let's go back a bit. Is Shaman going to get some love with next patch? Yes, but it's incidental, so it's not directly for Shaman. It's just like there's some base class changes stuff, so it'll get like it gets a new skill with upheaval, and the order that skills are placed move around a little bit. So there's some things, I think it gains access to something and loses access to something else type thing. Like it gains access to Warcry, but loses access to Summon Scorpion, I think, or something like that. Can you tell us more about special ability in dungeons that you mentioned? Is it only in dungeons? Can you use it outside of it? Is there only one special ability? Will there be more? What's the purpose of it? And can you bind any skills to it? Lots of questions there. Okay, let's go through those one at a time. Yes, I can tell you more about it. Is it only in dungeons? Yes, it is only that specific ability is only in the Temporal Sanctum, which is the name of the dungeon, by the way. So the Temporal Sanctum has the Temporal Shift ability, and Temporal Sanctum is the only place you can use Temporal Shift. It does not exist anywhere else. Is there only one special ability? Yes, it is called Temporal Shift. Will there be more? Probably. As we, if we add more dungeons, they'll each have their own unique abilities that go with it. This is so that we can make unique mechanics for those boss fights. And this is probably Reimer telling me that my mic's muted. Yep. Thanks, buddy. Got it. There's a little red, tiny red light on this thing that I love, and I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. So you can't. What's the purpose of it? Can you bind any skill to it to use it? Well, so it is, you can bind any key to use that ability, just like you can bind any key to the other ones, but you can't drag another ability into that slot. So this is part of that thing where we're talking about how we want to guarantee that people have access to specific abilities. So we're guaranteeing that you have access to this ability, so you can't take it off your bar once you're in the Sanctum. It's there, it's always there, it's always in your bar. Just turn my phone off because replies to the forum thread are going to my phone right now. It's beeping like crazy in my pocket. Alright. What's the purpose of it? Great question. No one asked that yet. And I was like, I'm just not going to tell anyone what it is until someone asks. So I will tell you what it does. Temporal Shift, as you may have guessed, very quickly jumps you to a different era. A very specific different era. So you can flip between two specific eras very quickly. Doesn't move you in space, only in time. When you say it will skip you past some parts of the campaign, does that mean it will give you passives, idle slots, and side quests as part of the campaign? I think so, but I can't remember if it does or not. I know this has come up, and I think it's been addressed somehow, and I can't remember exactly how we addressed it. But yeah, that's... I should have come prepped with that one. Reimer, if you know, please answer the question. Can we expect 3D models of items to match 2D models in the near future, just like the 1 or 2 patches away from now? We are working on it. I can't tell you when it's going to happen. They're coming. They're working on it. You may have noticed that we've been overhauling all of the base. We've been bringing all of the weapon types, base weapon types, up to up to a modern standard. So we've gone through every single weapon type and we've completely redone all of them, deleted all the ones we had, full new ones. I think this patch marks the last weapon type that needs to be overhauled, which is, I believe, spears or polearms. Well, now they're spears. So after that, we've got a very talented team of 3D modelers and 2D artists that won't be working on that project anymore. Wonder what they could move to next, right? Huh? Huh? And there are already people working on it too, but now there's even more. Will you allow keys to stack, please? Right now they don't. I understand the request for it. They may stack at some point. I believe we actually got that functionality working because it didn't work for a while in normal item slots to have stackable items, but I think we got that working. There was a reason why we weren't doing it yet. And given that there's only one type of key, well, there's actually 3 types of keys now, I guess. But maybe we should make them stack. The reason we haven't is because we've always been like, okay, well, what if we want to add properties to the keys? As soon as you add a property to the item, it can't stack. So, like, having the key... So, the easiest analogy is maps in PoE. They can't make their maps stack because the maps have properties, rollable properties. Yeah. We've also talked about adding like a key ring, where it's just like all your keys go on your key ring, you know? We've talked about that too. I don't know if that'll happen. It would be so hilarious. I'm sorry, I'm probably so far behind that I don't know what you're talking about, but... but the llama level will be in-game, won't it? No? Maybe? Did you say you wanted a llama level? Because we had one and we cut it because I thought you didn't want it. Right? Patch notes next Wednesday or Thursday. We'll try and get them out as soon as possible. I can't say a time frame exactly, so I had to go look at the calendar and see what the date was on those days. Patch will be Friday. Patch is the 10th. We'll try and have the patch notes ready as soon as possible, but like, well, today is no more changes, hopefully. But we're working on stuff, we're changing stuff. Some of the really fine minutia comes right down to the wire. So sometimes things like, okay, we're going to take this item and we're going to move its level requirement down by 2, and we're going to take this item and give it +3 more melee void damage or something, you know, and like things like that, those really small changes. A lot of that happens pretty close to the wire. So we need time to get those in and then proofread the patch notes and everything like that. And we do have running patch notes for the CTs. So like we do have a like a patch notes document that has what's in so far, but those things could change. So we really don't want to release a patch notes document that isn't complete and also might be subject to change still. So we'll get it done as soon as we can, but it's a really difficult process. And like how big it is, like everyone, we have a version for ourselves, and we're just like, all right, everyone go in and proofread all the things that you put in yourself. Ooh. Some water, they're talking a lot. Are we going to see new abilities on monsters in dungeons different to ones in the Monolith? Yes. There's a new boss that has new abilities. It's pretty cool. Ooh, Temporal Shift, that might explain the cache. Oh, it might it? Yes. This is why I said it'll just take a second to do the time travel referenced. Because you just hit D and you flip. And why I said it was largely ceremonial. Will you unlock eye level from the level requirement? The concept of eye level doesn't really exist in our game. There are a lot of item bases that are interesting but way too low level to be used. Would be a shame if you never play with them again. That's the whole point of this system. Mordorm, I don't think we've quite seen understood each other at some point. Please feel free to ask follow-up questions. Can you cut the llama level for the sheep level? Less assets, more budget friendly. But I spent so long drawing llamas. I can recite a llama children's book. Llama, llama, red pajama, gets 2 kisses from his mama. I can do the whole thing, I'm not going to. There anything you can spoil for us? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm spoiling a lot here. I don't have any images to throw up or anything like that. This is an auditory spoiler today. What does unsealed affixes mean? Any affix that you have on your item right now are unsealed affixes. If you note that there is a small little pip here and a small little pip here. Oh my god, I caught up. My chat started auto-scrolling. These are unsealed affixes because they are a prefix or a suffix. Sealed affixes are part of the new crafting system. If you go check out the crafting dev blog, you'll find information about that. Where it'll one of the new glyphs of despair, I think. Is it despair? One of the new glyphs can take an affix that is like you're upgrading an affix, and it will, instead of upgrading the affix, it seals the affix and takes it down to the lower section, and you get a 5 affix item. The process of turning combining a unique and an exalted together into a legendary, that whole process completely ignores sealed affixes in every way. It doesn't care if you have one or don't have one. It will never pull the affix off. It's just as though it doesn't exist. Also, in the FAQ at the bottom of the post that went out today. Yes. Will Monolith nodes have dungeon keys as a rare echo reward? I think so. If not, good suggestion. I kind of assumed they would, I think. ICDR. ICURDS. Because it's not really CDR, it's increased cooldown recovery speed. Let's call it ICURDS. Where llama let when? Pet. Would be a llama pet, a primal llama and a were llama form. Wait, you've been trying llamas? Please show us your concept art for llama level. It was a joke. I haven't actually been drawing llamas. I need the entire rhyme now. We don't have it in the UK. Oh, Llama Llama Red Pajama. Check it out. Great book. Lore question: how did the Eternity Cache gain its power? Was it from Orbis or Eterra or some combo of the gods? Will we get answers explaining how it gets its power? I do not have a great answer for you on this one. I would love to be able to tell you, but I just don't know. I think that's something that our lore master would likely be able to answer a lot better than me. And hopefully we'll get... dump it all. It's a good question though. I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry. 'Cause I just don't know. I could speculate with you if you want. All right. So we can save that. We want the XPs. Is there any unique that's had to be changed because it has too much potential to break the game by getting certain affixes as a legendary? And if yes, can you leak it? As far as I know, I don't think any were. I don't know though. It would be pretty obvious in the patch notes if that was the case, I think, because you would just see a unique that probably wasn't overly powerful before, that either like gets its level spiked up or just gets some stat nerfed on it. So if you see that in the patch notes, that's probably what happened. If you're like, no one uses that unique, why did it get a nerf? It's probably why. Will legendaries have a point where it will fail, like if you meet the affix criteria and legendary power criteria, can the merging of items fail? Hopefully this isn't too confusing. No, it can't fail. The only like fail state, I guess you could kind of say, is if it just grabbed an affix you didn't want. You know? But if the items will go into the Eternity Cache, they will come out as a legendary item. Like, if you can put them in, you can take them out. Simple as that. I remember asking before about if you guys would release a cycle along with the release of multiplayer. How likely do you think that will be? I mean, in some sense of the term, 100% and 0% simultaneously. If that makes any sense. When we release multiplayer, it'll kind of be like a cycle because it'll likely be like everyone will be starting from scratch again anyways, so it's kind of like a cycle anyways. But chances of it being a... I think the chances of the multiplayer... I don't want to say anything. I don't know. I will take my opportunity to make you draw for stream. Good luck. Didn't go so well last time. Zenpai has resubbed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. Or has subbed, not resubbed. Welcome! Glad to have you with us. How will Eternity Cache handle when a unique and exalted share the same affixes? You get some sweet items with multiples of that affix. It must be really good if you're doing that. It won't merge them into one affix. It will keep them separate. So the affixes that are pulled from an exalted, you see them on that tooltip how they're in red. They'll still be there in red. So you could have +5 vitality in red and +5 vitality in orange on the same item. Although Reimer says there are some items that have been changed a bit. I just didn't notice them. I'm not really surprised. Can you double dip the same affixes on legendary like Titanheart give more? Yeah. if the affix is increased hit points, increased health, it'll act as two increased affixes where they're additive together. If they're both more health, it will, which I don't think they're, is there a more health affix? I don't think so. Might be. Then it would be multiplicative on the same item. But it's just each stack gets added. It functions exactly the same as if they were on different items or the same item. This is shown on the Bastion of Honor. It has 2 health affixes. Oh, cool. Yeah, there you go. There's already an example of it. Whoever took those screenshots was thinking ahead. I didn't take those screenshots. How many times can you copy an item when crafting? Once it goes to 0 forging potential, can you no longer copy that item? Yes. I'm assuming you're talking about the Rune of Creation. Rune of Creation does require it to have some forging potential to be used. So you may only Rune of Creation an item one time. So you can. This is what we're alluding to in the Crafting Dev blog regarding Rune of Creation's alternate uses. Is if you have an exalted item that you're like, oh, this is perfect for putting into a into a legendary, and you want 2 cracks of that, you can use a Rune of Creation to double the item to get 2 cracks of getting the right affixes off of it. Or you can, like, say you've got like a 2 legendary potential version of the item, and you're like, this exalted is going to be the thing I want to put on like a 3 or a 4, but I want to save up for that 3 or 4, but I want a legendary now with like 1 or 2. You can just make a 1 or 2 legendary now, and then keep that exalted for when you find that 3 or 4 leg item to actually like build the full-on one. So you get like a little bit of a stepping stone with that.
I cannot do that.
How many skills are getting VFX improvement and overhaul next patch? All the major overhauls have been spoiled as to, like, they've been major posts already. So like, if you count every single skill in the Werebear, Spriggan, Swarmblade arsenal as individual skills, and their forms themselves, and the proc skills they all can do, and then the new skills, Umbral Blades, and all of the versions of that, and like, there's well over 100 new VFX coming to the game. Oh, Timo, sorry, I skipped your question there. Didn't mean to. Can the non-class locked Grail Chalice relics be combined with class-specific uniques relics such as Keltham Blasted Agent? Yes, absolutely. They are the same, like... Oh, it does say Sentinel relic. Sorry, it does work. I lied earlier when I was like, this line's just got to be the same. Yeah, it'll work. There's like, so in the back end of the system, there is something called base type and subtype. And then there is a property on items that is class specific. So you can, when we show this stat, this Sentinel Relic stat, what we do is we go and we grab the base type and then look at any class specific versions. Like look to see if the subtype has a class specific reference, and then we take the base type and prefix the class specific class. So the base type is Relic. The subtype is Argent Crest. It just has to be both relics. What about Snap Freeze? I don't think Snap Freeze got any major changes now. Is the Rune of Creation ultra rare like a mirror in PoE? I don't think it's quite as rare as a mirror. Because mirrors are... Well, let's put it this way, I've never found one. I think mirror is a little higher on the rarity scale there. I don't have a personal point of reference for mirror rarity because I've never been like, this is how much I need to play to get a mirror. Like to get it. Oh, we've got an actual chance. I was trying not to put them in, so come on, buddy. Where are you? What you doing? It's okay. Love you. So we got the chance of a 4 potential Ravenous Void is about 1.6 times 10 to the 19. Yeah, that's good luck. That's one of those numbers that's like, it's so, and I think I said this somewhere on the forums or Discord or something. It's so big, or in this case, so small. Well, yeah, like it's about 1 in that many. It's so big or small, depending on how you want to look at it. That as humans, we don't really have a frame of reference to understand it. Like we can kind of like be like, oh, there's a number. I understand what 1.6 times 10 to the 19 is. You don't really understand. You can like, because you can look at something and be like, okay, well there's 3 cards here. I understand that, and there's about 50 cards here in the stack, and I understand that, right? Oh, that was close. And you kind of get that scale, and we can, because we have references for things like, I can use metric here. So if you have like a milliliter compared to like a liter, and there's 1,000 of them, you can kind of get that scale difference. Or like a kilometer, you can tell like how far a kilometer is. You can sort of instinctually understand that. 100 kilometers, like maybe on a road trip that's that long, you can kind of get a feel for how far that is. But then when you start getting into numbers that's like 1 billion kilometers, 1 trillion kilometers, it's just, the number doesn't really mean anything to you as a person because we just have no frame of reference for how far that is in our real world. This is one of those numbers that we don't have a frame of reference for how big it is, so we can't really comprehend how big it is. The rarest rune creation is the rarest one. It's the most powerful.
I cannot do that.
This patch looks awesome. Can't wait till next Friday. Took the day off for the patch to drop. Nice. I hope you're able to do that comfortably, and it doesn't put financial strain on you to do so. Oh, I just got a message from someone. Probably said something wrong. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. I just got linked a video that I love this video. If any of you are interested in finding out more about being able to understand the distance of things, Tom Scott has a video called 1,000,000 versus 1,000,000,000 visualized, or something like that. Great video, where every step he takes is like $1. And he starts walking, and then he gets in a car and starts driving, and then like a drone goes off flying or something like that afterwards, and you can kind of get a sense for how big $1 billion really is in real world space, which is what I was alluding to when I was talking about all that. Yes, Carve, great video, I agree. Not really a question, just wanted to say I think you really nailed legendaries. Thank you. It combines the excitement of using a unique with interesting abilities and keeping random affix exalted items relevant, which adds more options and choice to the in the endgame. Yeah, and you've kind of nailed the goals of what we wanted the system to be, where we had provide new chase, where you can have stepping stones to build these items, but it's not invalidating the other items in the game. And like, while Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, possibly number one, it's fighting for that spot with a few other legendary games. It's one of the major problems with rune words, especially rune words that are really powerful, like Enigma, is that it completely invalidates huge swaths of the gear drop for so many characters. And not completely invalidates. There's still some like reasons why you want to Chains of Honor, or like certain times where you're like, oh, I really want to have like a smoke or a duress, or like there's different reasons why you want different ones, but like a lot of items just get instantly thrown in the garbage because Enigma exists. And it's while we're still going to have that problem where there's like certain items are just not the best in slot, the drop is still exciting because it's part of the recipe for making that big item. Like a Jaw and a Burr rune are exciting because they're just the only reason they're exciting is because they're recipes to be used to make an awesome item. They themselves are not useful at all. And yes, I know Burr puts Crushing Blow on stuff, not Crushing Blow, enhanced damage and damage reduction, ED and DR. Crap. Cracks are showing in my Diablo knowledge. Oh no! I've never put a Burr rune in something other than a rune word. That's what I just realized right there. I think Infinity and Enigma are the only things I've ever used the Burr rune for. Oh, Last Wish too. Last Wish Burr? It's like Jaw Mal, Jawber, Jawist or something, I don't know. I look them up every time. Let's be honest, I've only ever made one Last Wish. Alright. Back to questions. Hope I'm not asking a question that you get too often. Even if you are, I'll try and answer it. Was there ever talk about skills changing icon when you change their damage? Yes, definitely. I haven't asked you this question much. For example, Void Cleave having a fiery icon when you convert its damage to fire. Definitely. We super duper talked about that, and you may notice that we have several color shifted versions of lots of the icons in our skill trees and passive trees icons. Like when you come in here and you look at, I've got a great example on my bar actually. An anomaly, when you cast it for being able to like recast it, it changes red and orange, and it's just a color shifted version of it really. And you can do the same thing with Void Cleave. I did that color shift though, and we'd probably get someone who knows what they're doing better to do the fancy newer icons that are not just a hue shift. But yeah, we've done that for sure, and we've considered doing that for when we have an icon like that, and we have the tech to do it. It's set up, it works, and everything. The main reason we don't have that, we want skill icons as like this is the skills icon to be instantly recognizable as that skill from everywhere that you see it. So when you see it in this menu, when you see it in this menu, when you see it in this menu, when you see it on your bar, it's always the same icon no matter what, how it's spec'd, it's always the same icon to get that that recognizability to it, where you can say like, you see this icon, you know what it is immediately. Even if it's just color shifted a little bit, it sometimes can create that dissonance. And also for like, say you're streaming and someone's watching a stream, they can like be like, look at your bar and you've got all these new icons that they've never seen before, even though they play, but maybe they're not as far as you are, that you've got like some item that color shifts because you've got some item that element shifts a skill, and it's like, oh, you've got this new skill in your bar, and then it's there's like confusion that ensues from that. Having these skills be having the icons be iconic for those skills is really important, and having that instant recognition. The details on what that skill does and the like if you fire shifted your Void Cleave, you're gonna know that it's still a fire shifted Void Cleave, and having this menu pop up and have it say void cleave and be a big red icon, it creates again a little bit of dissonance there, and like you're seeing void in the name, and we can't, and then changing to fire cleave causes even more problems. So one name, one icon, each for each skill. This is I know it kind of just backtracking on exactly what I just said because it still says anomaly. We should change that to say anomaly recall, anomaly refund, or something like that. Good question, though. I like it. Given the both have to be relics statement, it sounds like it's possible to create unusable items, such as adding plus vengeance level to an ashen crown. Is ashen crown a relic? Nope, not crazy. Ashen crown is a helmet. Cool. You have me second guessing myself there for a second. So ashen crown is a helmet, and therefore cannot get. Oh, I see what you're saying. But plus vengeance is a helmet affix. I understand what you're saying. Yes, it is possible to make. Completely unusable items. I see what you're saying. If the base, yeah, we should probably prevent that from happening. Because Ashen Crown itself is already mage specific. Yeah. Okay. You got me? Good job. That is definitely an edge case that I had not considered yet. And I'm gonna make a note of it right now. Don't let players make impossible to use items by putting one class specific affix on a different class specific unique. And I just got a text from Rhymer, so I'm assuming that it already does this. It's already planned. Ah, they're ahead of me. They're already ahead of me. How many secrets / Easter eggs can we find in the new dungeon? I have no idea. Our level designers, like, more than once, I've come to them and been like, how long has this been here? And they're like a year, Mike? How did you not know? And I'm like, no one's found this yet. Looks like Rhymer reappeared. Project Diablo 2 improves a lot of balance in the games. The new season started today. Project Diablo 2 is great. I briefly played it a little bit after I played a bunch of Path of Diablo, which is also a ton of fun and does a lot of similar stuff. Was very impressed with it. And yeah, it did things with it turn teleport into warp, which has a small cooldown. You know, things like that. I really hope that, and with the patch that came out to regular Diablo 2, or D2R, yesterday, I want to say, maybe the day before. I haven't played it yet, but the fact that they're adding things like a move-only ability and a modern hotkey bar and things like that shows that they are prepared to me at least, shows that they might be prepared to make some changes to the game. Because while Diablo 2 is an absolute masterpiece, there's some things that show its age a little bit, and I know from people doing interviews with Brevik that he would agree even. I think there's a great quote. I hope I don't misquote it, but he says something along the lines of, the question was, if you were going back to redo Diablo 2, is there something you would change, anything you would remove now? And like, the question's half out of the guy's mouth, and the answer is the stamina bar. Just instantly, he's like, stamina bar, get rid of it, nuke it. It was dumb. And I really don't expect them to do something as drastic as removing the stamina bar. But I am hopeful that they will be open to small changes, or possibly even large changes down the road. Hodo's my room word of choice. Hodo's great. Hodo is wonderful. Got a really crappy Hodo on my Sork right now. It's like 31.
I cannot do that.
Is Acolyte model only changed in face, or are there changes to the body proportions and return also armor model fixes? Yeah, there's less changes to the Acolyte's body than the face is the most thing, but there's changes. There are changes all over the place. There are also armor changes. For example, the hood is gone. That like black pointy hood that definitely didn't resemble anything horribly offensive is gone.
I cannot do that.
And yeah, I think that's it. That's not it. Sorry, there's other changes too. I don't know what they all are. I just spaced out for a second. That's totally it. I know. There we go. Get her done. Quick cast hotbars, awesome addition, even for purists. Yeah, I agree. Are you trying to buff freeze rate multi-builds through frostbite support that coming through the uniques? Follow up, do you feel players should be able to have perma-freeze style CC builds? I think perma-freeze, perma-stun, hard CC forever builds. I'm not a big fan of it, either direction, player or enemies. Like, I think there needs to be, like, CC's great. I think the best part about CC is using it strategically. So, like, this is something that I actually really like about Anomaly, in the sense that you can't perma-CC something with Anomaly. But you can, like, it can have a really big impact on the fight if you can use it strategically. So, yeah. I don't think there's major buffs to freeze in there. But there are some incidental ones. From just being able to put freeze multi on a lot more stuff, uniques now. Oh, I've been talking a lot. Get a little hoarse. Will there be more glyphs and runes before 1.0? And if you have, yes, can you roughly say how many of them? We went through a ton of ideas. Like, we got everyone who does any sort of game design stuff at all into a room, and we're like, okay, everyone put down as many ideas for runes and glyphs as you can. No bad ideas. Just put them all down, and we're gonna go through every single one of them and try and find every single one that we can add right now. And we went hard on this for a long time. There's a huge list of rejected ones that were just like, we debated each one, figure out which ones we can do, which ones we can't. There are a few ideas where we're like, we might be able to make that work. Let's see how things shake out. For the most part, we've got the majority of the ideas that we had that we think can work. That's definitely not to say there won't be any more, but if there are more, there won't be too many more. And, like, things change, we get new ideas, mechanics get introduced, half of the runes and glyphs that are coming in this patch 2 years ago we wouldn't have even considered as being possible. So, if I was going to put a number on it and guess, I really don't want to. I'd say there's a possibility that we could get some more of either before 1.0, but I don't want to guarantee any. Which I know told you basically nothing. Sorry. Just don't want to commit to it and not be able to deliver. Because I hate letting you guys down, you know? Sucks. Doesn't happen very often, I hope. You mentioned rogues also getting some changes. Does it mean you'll bring up other models' quality, or is it temporary until also remade entirely later? So Mage, Acolyte, Sentinel, Primalist have all been like overhauled. the Rogue was the newest of all of them before we went into this. I don't think it's getting a full overhaul, or if it is, it's not huge, or it just hasn't been done yet, so I'm not sure exactly what the plans are for that. But I don't feel like it needed as much updating as the other ones did. Ooh, that's a hot boy. Yeah. Yeah, let's respect that for sure. Never mind, go! Is there... This is why I love how you guys are taking time with development. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to make as awesome of a game for you all as we can. Also for us too, we're kind of greedy that way. We want an awesome game for ourselves. Let's do this. Are you guys keeping in mind to keep all content goals doable in a limit time frame fashion, aka seasons leagues? You feel the rarity and time investment will feel good in 3 to 5 month cycle for a league. Follow up, are you guys afraid of too much stuff, not enough time for players to feel accomplished? I feel like, and different people have different senses of where their sense of accomplishment comes from. I feel like people will be able to, and like, so I understand where this question is coming from, in the sense that if it's too hard to get perfect gear, people might feel that it's unattainable. There is diminishing returns on the difference between, so you have a 3 legendary potential and a 4 legendary potential. Let's say, I think weapon's the best indicator of this, actually. So you have even a 2 and a 4. And you manage to get like the 2 prefixes and like their plus melee weapon damage from Big Exalted onto that 2 legendary potential legendary, and you get those on there, and it's great. And then you have this 4 legendary potential one. You get the same Exalted on there because you mirrored it, or you Rune of Creation did. Sorry, and you've got the same Exalted that's put on these 2 uniques. And you've got the 2 important affixes on one of them, and you got all 4 affixes on the other. Those 2 extra affixes, maybe they're like Frailty Chance and Bleed Chance or something, and they're less important affixes, and that power difference between 2 and 4 isn't actually double. It's pretty small in reality by comparison, as like a percentage of your total character's power. So I think more likely what we're going to see is people having like a lot of items with like a single legendary potential, like a single legendary or 2 legendary in a lot of slots, and being able to say like, this character's done. Whereas some people who are playing a little bit more, or playing a little bit harder, are going to be getting into those like more 2-3 in every slot type thing, or more slots, let's say. And I think we'll the like, can you do the content is where I think my like personally sense of accomplishment is going to come from, more so than having these bonkers top tier items that really don't need to exist as far as like the difference in power, if that makes any sense. It's like complete content. So you're not going to be expected to have 4 legendary potential items in every single slot to do top end content. Getting like one really awesome item in there, maybe that like shines as like the, ooh, look at this one item I got, that's the like show off this one piece, you know? And I think that'll be doable. Warm in here. Something is spawning stuff down here. Come on, give me that shine. Give me that crit. Any plans? Is Rogue getting any additional throwing support? Overall, the class feels good skill-wise. Well, it's getting Umbral Blades, which is a new skill. That's the throwing skill. So yes. If you haven't seen that, check out the dev blog on it. It's pretty cool. Might just be in news, actually, not dev blogs. But sweet. Really sweet. Any plans to give us proc-based affixes, icicles, magma shards, etc., be it through runes, glyphs, shards, non-unique legendary items? I adore proc-based gameplay. I mean, there's a ton of proc-based stuff already in the game. And a lot of them are on. You want them on non-unique legendary items, so on shards specifically. The hard part about putting them on any item like that, as like an affix, is I think it might leave the system open to too many of them, which is part of the problem with Tempest Strike. Because procs are expensive. If I give you guys 4,000 USD, can I design 4 more set items for Meteor set, culminating in a 6th set? Meteor does 75,000 more damage. I got the idea for another ARPG. No. Sorry. In case you weren't joking, which I think you were joking, no. Oh, rhyme right below. That's a no. Did I turn off my volume for this somehow? I missed them all. RCA Ricaire? Thank you for subbing. I know I missed it, but it does mean a lot to me. Alright. Love the legendaries. Should do a lot to help unique heavy builds. What was your thoughts on choosing random affixes over player-determined affixes for legendary crafting process? To give a little bit more excitement to finding high legendary potential items, having those be like really awesome, because this sort of stems from what I was talking about earlier. When you have that, they give you 4 legendary potential. The best part about a 4 legendary potential item is that it guarantees to get the really specific affix that you want off that exalted. Less so that it gets all of the affixes. That's really good too, but the more important part about it, that's going to guarantee to get that exalted affix. I think that's the part I'm personally really excited about. Or if you have 2 exalted affixes, guaranteed to get both of them. And so it's amping up the excitement and value of getting those 4 legendary potential ones, and then also. Lightning damage. Yeah. And then also just extending the chase of these items, because they are really long-term chase items. So we do want them to be something that you are like you're likely going to make more than one legendary of the, like, you're like, okay, I'm gonna make a legendary, like, I'm going to make a legendary fighting chance as like my go-to gloves. That's what I'm doing. You'll probably make more than one, which I think is good, personally. Do you guys have plans to add some features to Loot Filter to make it more new player friendly? I mean, we try and make it as new player friendly as possible. It's really tricky to get that like accessibility and approachability and also control at the same time. There's no major functionality changes to the Loot Filter coming next patch, I don't think. There's some little things. Here we go. I'm doing it as it's happening. Look at me. Look at me now. Thanks, Amarathi, for the 5 gifted subs. Lovely. I feel like I just answered one of your questions. Hope I take it I answered it to your liking. Thank you very much, and congrats to everyone who got one of those. Pew pew. Where was I? I was doing things. New features, loot filter. Yeah. I don't think we have any major loot filter changes planned for next patch. We are trying to make it like easier for new players. There are some things we've looked at for that. Because it is like I've seen, once you see more than one YouTube video pop up with like instructional videos on how to use one of your systems, it might not be explained well enough in game. You know? Not that there's anything wrong with those videos. I've seen a few of them and they were very well done for sure. And I super duper appreciate everyone who made one of those. So if you made one of those, good job. But yeah, like there are some things about it that probably could be done a little bit better for new players, and I think this is we've displayed a little bit of our intentions for this in that we have those with the affix tiers. When you're picking which affix tiers you want on items, there's an advanced tab or a tick box that like gives you more options, and so trying to hide a few things behind advanced tick boxes is, I think, good. Throwing support more in terms of passive support. I see what you're saying. There are some marksman in the marksman tree, but the benefits are paltry. Should have specified. Yeah, I don't think there's any major changes there. I think there's some minor ones, but no major changes there. Like there might be. There's also like I think something that's really interesting about this patch is I get a lot of questions about like, oh, are we going to see any extra support for this or that or whatever. There's a ton of stuff that's just getting a lot of incidental support and buffs and changes because we've taken some unique item that previously was just kind of garbage because it was on such a low level base, and suddenly it's going to be good and usable. Like the Riverbend Grasp or whatever, like that's suddenly going to be like pretty sweet throwing item, right? So yeah, there's some stuff there. When do you personally feel like you're done with a character? When you've taken them to the Uber bosses? When you've forged a perfect set of equipment? When a season is over? That's a great question. I think it really depends on the character themselves, and like what game it is and how much time I have. Really, I think when I was a little bit younger and able to play a little bit more of games like this, I probably would never have considered a character completed, really. If it was a character that, like, a really niche character that, like, probably shouldn't work, and you're sort of, like, playing with a mechanic that's kind of a joke, I'd say probably a finished version of that character is when it can complete an Uber boss, which is that's probably the point I would use for most characters, actually. Trying to grab experience here. Let's go to this one. I hope legendary bees don't look the same as unique bees. They do. For loot filter, maybe add some default basic loot filter samples. Yeah, we've talked about that. I don't know if we're gonna do it. One thing we've talked about doing, and it's definitely nowhere near ready yet. If we ever do this, I don't know. Is having a loot filter share system in game. So like where you could have loot filters. There's a lot of pitfalls and dangers here doing this, but where people can like share their loot filters and have like a loot filter browser, and so you have like, so if you notice that it has a description field. Description fields are really only super useful for sharing loot filters. And like we've had this hope from the beginning on loot filters is that they would be shareable, easily shareable. That's why we've got a few of the manual sharing methods in there as sort of temporary versions of it.
I cannot do that.
But having an in-game version where you don't have to go to a third-party website is sort of a, I don't call it a mantra, but a general goal for most systems where we don't want you to have to leave the game if you don't want to get the information or complete the tasks you need. I think something like you could like maybe rate each other's too, so it's just be like just upvotes, and whoever has the most upvotes, it like you filter by upvotes or by keywords, and search things, and you have like tags on it, so be like, oh, this is a mage, fire, monolith tags. And you can like filter by that or something. This is sort of like a pie in the sky version of it. Who knows if that'll ever happen, but I think that would be really cool. I'd like that, personally. That was gamer Mike talking, not developer Mike talking. Should have like a hat that I put on when I'm talking. It's just me. My gamer hat on. This is a great idea. It's gotta be something ridiculous though. Nobody say the B tiara. It was so painful. One major thing I would like to see change about loot filters preventing irrelevant affixes from being shown. Please, they clutter other views so much and confuse. Yeah, I know. It's tough. It's a request we get. I think we can probably do that. Because that is a trap that newer players can fall into, where they're like, oh, I want to show items that only have these 4 affixes on them, and you can make it actually show, you can make it not show any items because the items you've asked it to show don't exist. I think that's still the case. I don't think we fixed that. Can we get settings to disable the tutorial clicks on skill and mastery page when creating a new character? Yeah. I'll get around to that. I promise. That's been like I've got this list of like one day I'll do this, and that's been on that list for so long. But yes, I will get around to it. Has it always been part of the design process for skills and equipment to add what can be called placeholder item skills and adding functionality to them in later updates, or their happy accidents where a use may come up for an item or skill? We almost never add something to the game as like one day this will be great. We usually, like, there's mistakes we make where they just don't have a use, and there are there's items that end up coming in where they where there are like accidents, happy accidents, where they become really awesome. But I don't think we've ever added something to the game with the expressed intention of like, oh, 2 patches from now we're gonna add this and it's gonna be awesome. We used to do that, did we? I don't think we ever did that. Oh, with old skills released without skill trees. No, you're totally right. I guess that's a good example of that, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there's an example. We don't do that anymore. Those were rough times. Yeah. That was a lot of that was like, we just need a healing skill. Someone put a healing skill in, quick. If you don't want us to leave the game to find info, why is there no displayed attack speed, area, or even base damage on skills? And many sub-skills don't even show damage effectiveness. Yeah. It's a lot of information that we haven't compiled and put in place yet. Any plans to put in sounds on the loot filter even if they're not customizable? Maybe. That is something we get requested, so sounds and like beam are things we do get requested. The problem happens. Let's explore the problem for a second, shall we? Oops. Let's explore this problem for just a brief moment. Humor me. I think a lot of you know where I'm about to go with this. Should pick smaller items. Does quick drop from inventory still work? No. Say you make normal items all have this sound and beam, and you kill a boss. and it drops a bunch of items, and you have your whole loot filter set to just do this for every single one. Like, you know? So we have to put some sort of limits on, and something someone already mentioned is like having not being able to pick the specific sounds, but then also, oh, it almost just fit. Oh, the auto sort's borked. It's terrible. Who wrote that algorithm? It was me. So, yeah. Well, maybe. Why not, though, if that's what you choose to have your filter do? Giving people the tools to ruin the game for themselves is not an ideal thing for us. Yeah. If old character select screen score 3 to 10, what is the aesthetic score of the new one out of 10? Oh. I really like it. Aesthetics are so subjective. Yeah, yes, there you go. Good answer. It's high. I really like it. I'm a big fan. And on that note, it's time to end. On that terrible disappointment, I'm afraid it's time to end. Name that reference. I hope you all had a wonderful time. I know I did. I'll be here again next week. I hope you will be too. We'll be playing the new patch next week. Oh my gosh, I just realized we're 1 week out from the patch. Next week, I'll be playing the new patch on stream. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully it'll be out by then. Time of day? Yeah, it should be. We'll see. I don't want to make promises on time of day, but if it's out, I will be playing it. Yeah. It's going to be great. Oh yeah, Reimer, give me a new build for next patch. We've already talked about it. Oh, it's going to be sweet. I'm excited. All right. I'm out of here. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.